For the news hour, welcome back from that break. Let's get right into the news and check out what is actually happening from the world of business. As we start with the members of the 11th Parliament. Members of Parliament have expressed concern over the country's security risk management. On Saturday 20th, Museveni, while addressing the nation over the security issues, he said, in a bid to fight against terrorism, there is need to purchase security cameras that detect weapons such as bombs and other bombs and other dangerous materials. Pedersen Mombere reports. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, while addressing the country on Saturday 20th, 2021 on matters of the security, said that when terrorism is connected to the ADF will be defeated. And in a bid to fight them, there are measures that were put in place, for example, installing CCTV cameras around the country. In a bid to do this, they say they have to buy cameras that detect materials that can boom explosive or dangerous weapons while they are in the course.
Our infrastructure captured the bombers on Tuesday. The investigators get a lot of information from that video. Those cameras can now see the wrongdoers. The scientists are telling me that we can add a capacity to those cameras that will enable them to smell anybody carrying explosives and make alarm so that we go for him. Because now we had not put that capacity on
According to the members of Parliament, they say it is very bad to manage risks after they have happened. Honorable Francis Mwijuche, Member of Parliament Buhoeju County, says there must be a proper planning and identify what the country is lacking in a fight against security threats.
The President should stop this crisis management. Because something has happened, give me money, a budget. He must plan for security of this country. This must not only happen because a bomb has been thrown near Parliament or around the police station. Otherwise, until when shall we stop supplementary budgets for security? I don't think other countries come up with supplementary budgets every time this happens. So he must come up with a comprehensive plan for this country. Otherwise, this crisis management can only tell us that he doesn't know what to do for this country.
Honorable Mbwate Kamwa, Member of Parliament Entebbe, says it would be good if the President suggests robots to detect these explosives instead of using sensor-led.
Suggested a robot. That a robot, after sensing that you have a bomb, the robot will attack you and destroy you there and then. That robot will help Ugandans. But a sensor in the camera, where the control room is almost about 4 kilometers away, it cannot do much to save the life. Because if you see me on the camera with the bomb, by the time we take action, I will have done my work. So will you have helped Ugandans? Probably the answer is no. So why should we suggest things that cannot be implemented, cannot be practical, at a time when we need more money? You know, we need money, of course, to pay for even the cameras, because it was a loan from the Chinese, the Hawaii company. We are still paying. Now, if you add in another deal of importing, camera sensors that are not going to have any impact, that are not going to provide any solution to the problem, I don't think it is called for at this time. Right now, we need to think big and plan on how best we can protect.
The members of Parliament emphasized proper pay to security personnel, as well as in support of purchasing more CCTV cameras.
Cameras, whether sensors are not a solution to the violence which is happening in our country. Before the President thinks of doing so, he should first look into charge of our security. When you look at almost all police stations, they sleep as if they are refugees in their country. The army, we as Parliament, we appropriate a lot of money to go to security forces. But who eats that money? Before he finds a solution of using maybe the cameras and the sensors, he has to first look into the welfare of security officers in this country. The cameras and the sensors are not, they don't manage themselves. They are not automatic. They are manned by people. And these people have families. So you have to look into their welfare before you create such kind of idea. The idea may be fair, okay, but it is just some way of an option. There are so many ways there are so many gaps which need to be filled before you think of buying all implementation of the census. Like for example, if you're a police officer and you sleep in a ramshackle house, you reach even an extent of road shading into the barracks where you sleep, you reach an extent of even living without water at times, what can you do? So the president should find a way of remotivating all security officers.
Even the current cameras that have been installed, none of them actually is upcountry, unless maybe Kabarmad is exclusive. But I've not yet interviewed, maybe you people as journalists, you can interview all other MPs, whether some have been installed in Kabale, whether in Kisoro, whether in Kabong or anywhere. But in Kabarmad there is nothing. So I know whatever thing that the president is going to plan, say maybe bringing those other new gadgets, those are just for within maybe Kampala here. So maybe they are concerned more about Kampala people only, or they think terrorists can remain within Kampala. But if they are looking for anybody throughout the country, then I think it's a much bigger budget, because the whole country should be covered now. In that case, that is it. But even then, why are they running for that one? We have just got these ones recently. Maybe we have not taken too long before we have installed this. Unless this is the new technology. By the time we were buying those ones, this technology was not there. But if it was there then.
President Yoweri Museveni, while addressing the country on Saturday, 20th, said that urban terrorism that is connected to the ADF terrorists will be defeated by the UPDF. And in a bid to fight them, there are measures that were put in place, for example, installing CCTV cameras around the country. In a bid to do this, he said they have to buy cameras that detect materials that can be explosive or dangerous weapons while they are in the course. And according to some members of parliament, they said it's very bad to manage risks after they have happened. Honorable Francis Muinjuche, the member of parliament, Buhuenju County, says there must be a proper planning and identify what the country is lacking in a fight against security threats. And then Honorable Mbate Kamwa, a member of parliament in Tebe, says it would be good if the president suggests robots to detect these explosives instead of using sensors. Man, Uganda's members of parliament also. Robots coming in the picture. All for what? Anyway, what do I know? The members of parliament emphasize proper pay to security personnel, and most of them say it is quite important. The same way it is to buy more security cameras. And others also say, reminded the government that it also needs to deploy these CCTV cameras countrywide, as well as also looking at the upcountry side. So I hope the government gets the message right and clear. Let's move on to the next story. The National Social Security Fund wins International Customer Experience Awards. NSSF won gold and 2 silver accolades at this year's International Customer Experience Awards held in London, the United Kingdom. More of the details.
The fund was recognized as a gold winner in the category of best use of customer insight and feedback in the financial services sector under 5,000 employees for its response to COVID-19 pandemic, where it redefined internal policies and processes to meet customer needs. It beat competition in this category that included National Bank of Kenya, Telja Investment Holdings South Africa, Balta Insurance Latvia, and Allianz Turkey. For the silver accolades, the fund was recognized in the category of customer experience in a crisis in the financial services for its shift to using e-channels to serve customers during the COVID-19 induced lockdowns. In the category of employee experience in a crisis financial services, NSSF was awarded for its ability to keep their employees engaged and motivated to serve customers from anywhere. Competition in these 2 categories was from financial institutions in Russia, initiated in 2010 by Awards International, the world's premier awards events organization. The International Customer Experience Awards are aimed at celebrating the incredible work done by customer experience professionals worldwide. NSSF is the first organization in Uganda to emerge gold winner in the International Customer Experience Awards. It is also the only organization from Africa to win gold and silver in 3 categories out of the 4 nominations that made it to the finals.
NSSF beat competition in this category, which had National Bank of Kenya, Telstra Investments Holdings in South Africa, Balta Insurance Latvia, and the Allianz from Turkey. For the silver accolades, The fund was recognized in the category of customer experience in a crisis in the financial services for its shift to using e-channels to serve customers during the COVID-19 induced lockdowns. In the category of employee experience in a crisis financial services, NSSF was awarded for its ability to keep their employees engaged and motivated to serve customers from anywhere, wherever they are. Competition in these two categories was from financial institutions in Russia, Ireland, and the United Kingdom. NSSF, it should be reminded, that is the first organization from Uganda to emerge gold winner in the International Customer Experience Awards. It is also the only organization from Africa to win both gold and silver in 3 categories out of the 4 nominations that made it to the finals. Let's check out the other story. Police has threatened to crack down all bars and entertaining places that violate COVID-19 guidelines. Speaking to the media at the police headquarters in Naguru, the police spokesperson Fred Enanga says they will not only arrest but also confiscate all supporting properties from the bars. He also said that they have summoned all DPCs where he warned them over laxity at their workplaces.
Reports show that since the vaccination rollout program is not yet fully done due to the shortage in the vaccines, this rapid drop in the number of COVID-19 deaths was largely due to the lockdown measures, which are violated on a daily basis. Police has, on this note, threatened to crack down all bars and entertaining places that violates COVID-19 guidelines.
This is a warning to revelers, bar staff, proprietors that this evening onwards, they are likely to face serious consequences for violating the curfew and COVID-19 protocols. We don't know why people are impatient, and yet we have just 1 month to cross over into the January 2022 promise. We have also given them instructions that once they get a bar open, all the gadgets like fridges, music systems, they should attach all those, because these are things that keep on, if they continue leaving them, the same music systems will be used and so on.
Speaking to the media at police headquarters in Kampala, the police spokesperson Fred Enanga says that they will not only arrest but also confiscate all supporting properties and gadgets from the bars. He notes that they summoned all DPCs where he warned them of a laxity at work.
And we are hopeful that probably by January 2022, the economy will fully open and we can go back to the previous lifestyles that we used to enjoy. So we expect that from now onwards, with this warning that has been given to territorial commanders, RPCs, DPCs, we don't expect any more laxities in their operations, because they have a duty to make sure that Ugandans are safe and that we try as much as possible to avoid new transmission of COVID-19 in our country.
Health experts say that what is even more encouraging is that even the worst hit areas of Kampala, Wakiso and Mukono, and other cities and municipalities have started seeing a big reduction in the rate of positive cases and fatalities, saying that this was attributed to the ban on non-essential movements, gathering, activities, and the widespread use of facial masks.
We got intelligence that Drew and Jack, there's X-Hub in Nigeria, there's there are bars at Forest Mall that have been continuing to operate with impunity, and we cannot allow for this to actually continue. So the crackdown on bars and entertainment centers is going to be intensified.
In a televised address to the nation, President Museveni said that bars, discos and concerts will remain banned until the government vaccinated at least 5.5 million elderly and people with underlying medical conditions with coronavirus vaccines. He said that bars, discos and beaches and performing arts and concerts are associated with drunkards, and super spreader effects shall remain closed until the country attains a better level of vaccination. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV.
And according to police spokesperson Fred Enanga, the most interesting part here is that he knows that police knows the bars that are operating. And still asking myself a question, why you need to warn people before you can actually execute the plan. Anyway, like I said, what do I know? Little do I know. But anyway, to all the bars, you need to stay warned, because according to police reports, they are going to confiscate every product or everything in the bar. Not only are they going to arrest the drunkards, the employees, they will even arrest the employer and confiscate everything that he uses in that bar. So you need to stay warned, because the journey is still ongoing to vaccinate the 4.8 million priority, and by January to see that the entertainment sector is reopened. But if you trigger the president to show that Mudiba Gume, like normally people say, then I don't know what will happen. Okay, and away from that, let's look into the other story. This time around, the Agriculture Ministry seeks for 20 billion shillings to fight the foot and mouth disease ahead of the festive season. The Agriculture Minister, Frank Tumwebeze, said will benefit from the exercise, which will be free and conducted by the government. More of the details. The Ministry of Agriculture has requested 20 billion shillings supplementary budget to procure foot and mouth disease vaccines. The Minister for Agriculture, Frank Tumwebeze, told the Parliamentary Committee on Budget that 15 billion shillings will be used to procure 4 million doses of the vaccines, which will cover 14.6 million head of cattle. Immediate beneficiaries, according to Tumwebeze, include the most at-risk districts that border national parks and districts that are long livestock traders' transit routes. These are Lango, Nakaseke, Ankole, Karamoja, Teso, Luero, Nakasongula areas. In February this year, 5 districts were quarantined by the government due to foot and mouth disease. These include Gomba, Singiro, Kazo, Chiruhura and Sembabule. Tumwebeze said that vaccination is free, and he is aware of the losses that farmers are likely to incur. They cannot sell their animal products or live animals. Tumwebeze said that vaccination should cover 90% of the national herd and should be done before the disease starts to spread, and this is why they need the supplementary budget urgently. The foot and mouth disease, according to veterinary experts, is a viral disease of cloven-hoofed livestock. It was first given in 1953. The Ministry of Agriculture has requested 20 billion supplementary budget to procure 40 and to procure foot and mouth disease vaccines. And according to the minister, the 15 billion will be used to procure 4 million doses of these vaccines, which will cover 4.6 million head of cattle. And then the other remaining 5 billion will actually be used in the proceedings of making sure that the vaccination drive is done. Immediate beneficiaries, according to Mwelaze, include the most at-risk districts that border national parks and districts that are long livestock trader. In a press conference, police called on families of suicide bombers who detonated the bombs and also died in the act to come for the DNA tests and take their remains. The police identified them as Mansour Uthman and Wajusi Abdul. Pedison Mumbere has more.
How do you just leave a 1.5-year-old?
The Ugandan police shot 5 suspects and arrested 21 people on Thursday as part of an investigation into a twin suicide bombings claimed by the Islamic State group that killed 6 people. In a press briefing, police confirmed the arrest of 106 that were behind Kampala bombings, including those that finances the acts of terror.
Since these operations began, like His Excellency indicated, a total of 106 suspects have been arrested, and including those who are involved in terrorist financing and persons who are involved in the mobilization and incitement of vulnerable Ugandans into the ranks of the ADF. You are aware that 7 suspected terrorists were put out of action while 4 suicide attackers got killed during the suicide attacks. We want to reiterate that the arrested persons are not targeted for their beliefs.
The police spokesperson, Fred Enang, also called on families of suicide bombers who detonated bombs at the Parliamentary Avenue and CPS to come and pick their bodies after DNA test. Police identified the suicide bombers as Muzamiru Uthman and Wanjusi Abdul.
Just like the remains of the alleged suicide bombers have also not been claimed. Out of the 3 suspected suicide attackers, 2 were identified by a member of the ADF suicide squad. You remember Mudasiru, alias Kaliowa, alias Mose. He managed to identify his accomplices as Wanjusi Abdul, who detonated the bomb at Parliamentary Avenue, and Mansur Uthman, who detonated the one at CPS Kampala. So the relatives can come, we can pick DNA. Of course, the bodies were shattered, but still they require to be buried by relatives as well. Like we've always indicated, these attacks are from a known enemy, that is the ADF, aimed at promoting fear and panic in the public.
Police as well condemned the recruitment of children below age into the terror acts. Reports show that more than 120,000 children under 18 years of age are currently participating in unarmed conflicts across Africa. Some of these children are no more 7 or 8 years of age. Among the affected countries is Uganda and the DRC.
Sisi kwa mujahidina biidhnillah. Nyinyi kama mtaki kuja kumdaura tulislamia tutawaua inshallah takbir. Allahu Akbar.
But we want parents really, and for sure we need to take a very tough stand, because we may find that some of the parents are contributory to such acts of recruitment and radicalization of children. In one way or another, they could be facilitating these acts of terror by sponsoring.
And so those landlords who are also benefiting, from these children are also traffickers. So whether you're housing, whether you're transporting, whether you're a parent, so we are really zeroing down on
places of worship as well, which are acting as domains for recruitment and as collection centers for children who are introduced to ideological messages and briefs. So far, what our joint intelligence components have gathered indicates how children are being recruited and gathered at collection centers, especially in places like here, Kampala, Wakiso, Luwero. We have Ntoroko, Bundibujo, and Kasese. There are, of course, several materials that have been gathered, instruction materials that have been gathered, and also accounts from children who have been rescued. They have indicated how some of their friends are taken away to unknown destinations. For instance, in the course of last week, we raided a suspected recruitment and radicalization center in Kasengeje, village Wakiso Town Council in Wakiso district, which was being headed by one called Sheikh Ruangabo. We only have one name, he's on the run. However, we arrested 2 of his coordinators, identified as Kaija Ismail and Sewachirianga Muhammad. We found them with 22 other children who were brought from as far as Wakiso, Nansa, Nantinda, Kagoma, Kawempe, and Bugerere in Kayunga.
In addition to the obvious risks to children of participation in armed conflicts, which equally apply to the adults, children are often at an added disadvantage as combatants. Their immaturity may lead them to take excessive risks. They tend to receive little or no more training before being thrust into the front. Some rebel commanders tend to think that these children are fearless.
In addition to the obvious risks of children of participation in armed conflict, which apply equally on the adults and children, because I've actually also had to highlight on the issue that maybe we are looking at the children being forced into terror. But remember, the adults are also very, very vital. But only that, police has condemned the child recruitment in terror acts because most of these terrorists feel that if they use the children, it becomes easier because they are fearless and they have nothing to lose. And police is on the hunt to see that it cracks them down. Away from that, I'll be back after the break. And this time around, we're going to focus more on beekeeping in Uganda. Beekeeping. That and more is coming up. I have someone I'm going to interact with on a Zoom interview. This is Smart Men's Business. Just stick around.